Crimea is under siege, not by massive ground armies, but by a silent, relentless fuel blockade. Ukrainian drones and precision strikes have turned the land corridor and supply routes into a deadly gauntlet. Russian fuel tankers burn on highways, storage depots explode in flames, and critical convoys never reach their destination. Russian forces on the peninsula are now facing fuel shortages that ground vehicles, limit air operations, and paralyze logistics. Putin's prized fortress in the south is slowly being starved of the one thing every modern army needs most: fuel. Welcome to Military Force. In this full 18-minute breakdown, we reveal how Ukraine has systematically built a fuel blockade around Crimea and is breaking Russia's grip on the peninsula. From long-term preparation to devastating strikes and the growing crisis inside occupied Crimea, this is the complete story. Hit that like button right now and subscribe for more frontline analysis. Ukraine's fuel blockade of Crimea is not a single dramatic attack. It is a calculated, sustained campaign of logistics warfare. Ukrainian commanders understood that while Russia can repair bridges and reinforce troops, an army without reliable fuel becomes a collection of expensive stationary targets. The strategy has been simple but devastating. Make every liter of fuel heading to Crimea extremely expensive to deliver or impossible to deliver at all. The preparation began many months ago. Ukrainian intelligence, drone units, and special operations teams focused heavily on the entire supply chain feeding Crimea. They mapped every major route, the damaged Kerch Bridge, ferry crossings, and especially the overland land corridor through Mariupol, Berdyansk, and Melitopol. The Chongar Bridge and other key crossings became priority targets. Reconnaissance drones maintained constant overwatch, identifying patterns in Russian fuel convoys, storage locations inside Crimea, and the timing of deliveries. Engineers scaled up production of specialized anti-logistics drones, long-range systems capable of striking deep into the supply chain, FPV kamikaze drones optimized for igniting fuel tankers, and loitering munitions that could wait patiently for convoys to appear. Fiber optic and AI-guided models were prioritized to defeat Russian electronic warfare. The 82nd and 95th Air Assault Brigades, along with dedicated drone regiments, integrated these weapons into coordinated operations. Operators trained relentlessly for fuel-specific missions. They learned that hitting a single fuel tanker in the middle of a convoy creates massive roadblocks and secondary fires that can halt movement for hours or days. Training included night strikes, swarm tactics to overwhelm escorts, and follow-up attacks on recovery vehicles. Strict operational security ensured Russia could not predict where the next blow would fall. Deception was constant. Ukraine conducted strikes on other parts of the front and alternative routes to keep Russian air defenses and electronic warfare units stretched thin. This encouraged Moscow to keep pushing large fuel convoys through the land corridor, believing some routes were still relatively safe. The execution of this blockade has been relentless and highly effective. Ukrainian drones have repeatedly struck fuel convoys on the approaches to Crimea. In multiple documented operations, entire columns of tankers have been destroyed, creating blazing obstacles that block the narrow roads for extended periods. Strikes on key bridges like Chongar have not only destroyed vehicles, but also damaged infrastructure, forcing Russia to divert resources to repairs while fuel queues build up. Inside occupied Crimea itself, Ukrainian long-range drones and other systems have hit storage depots and distribution points. Massive fires at fuel facilities have consumed thousands of tons of diesel and jet fuel. Russian attempts to disperse storage and move supplies at night have been met with thermal-equipped FPV drones that hunt heat signatures in the darkness. The result is a growing fuel crisis on the peninsula. Russian forces in Crimea are feeling the pressure daily. This fuel blockade is working because it targets the Achilles heel of any modern military. Without reliable fuel, Russia's numerical advantages in tanks, aircraft, and vehicles become far less relevant. A T-90 without diesel is just an expensive bunker. An Su-30 without jet fuel stays on the ground. Air defenses without mobile power and transport become static targets. Russia has desperately tried to break the blockade. They've increased escorts with electronic warfare vehicles and helicopters. They've attempted to repair and fortify bridges faster. They've shifted some supplies to smaller, more frequent convoys and tried alternative sea routes. However, Ukraine continues to adapt faster, improving drone range, accuracy, and numbers while exploiting every new Russian vulnerability. The strategic impact is profound. Crimea was supposed to be Russia's unsinkable aircraft carrier and southern stronghold. Instead, it is becoming an expensive liability. The fuel blockade is slowly isolating the peninsula, making it harder for Russia to use it as a launch pad for attacks on southern Ukraine or to project power into the Black Sea. Every day the blockade tightens, Russia must divert more resources to defense rather than offense. This campaign also demonstrates the power of Ukraine's asymmetric approach. By focusing on logistics and sustainment rather than direct confrontation, Ukraine is achieving outsized results with relatively low-cost drones. Domestic production scaling into the millions gives them the capacity to maintain constant pressure that Russia cannot easily match. As fires continue to burn at destroyed fuel sites and Russian logistics officers scramble to find new routes, the bigger picture is becoming clear. Ukraine's fuel blockade is not just disrupting supplies, it is breaking Russia's grip on Crimea from within. Without control over fuel movement, holding the peninsula becomes increasingly unsustainable in the long term. The war in the south is no longer just about trenches and frontline positions. It is being decided on the supply roads, at the bridges, and in the fuel depots behind the lines. Through relentless innovation and determination, Ukraine is winning this critical battle of logistics. What do you think? Can Ukraine's fuel blockade eventually force Russia to significantly reduce its military presence in Crimea? Or will Moscow find a way to restore reliable supplies despite the growing pressure? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you want more in-depth analysis of Ukraine's logistics warfare, drone campaigns against Crimea, and the strategic battle for southern Ukraine, smash the like button, share this video with others, and subscribe to Military Force. Turn on notifications so you never miss the latest developments. Thanks for watching this full 18-minute breakdown. Stay informed, stay strong, and we'll see you in the next mission analysis.